open up about my insecurities so you know you are not alone. These are things that I absolutely used to struggle with so much about myself and still deal with a little bit of turmoil to this day. But it just got easier over time. The first thing was my lazy eye. Now, my lazy eye is something I'm very insecure about. Specifically, not really on camera, but when I'm interacting with people and I can't see how I look, I can't see how my eye look, I don't have control to edit and fix things and, not make it obvious. There would be times, like, for example, if I would look left and I would look right, or, and I would see people. I would see that I look lazy-eyed. I would freak out and be like, oh my God, I got to delete it. Or like if I'm taking a picture with somebody and I look lazy-eyed, my eye looks bad, it really makes me feel ashamed of myself. Like I really would feel this immense amount of self-hate. And it was terrible every time when I get my makeup done. And, the lady tells me to look up. I always fear looking up because then it's going to be obvious that I have a lazy eye, and lazy eyes are ridiculed in society. So this is something that I'm not comfortable with about myself. I'm growing to be okay with. And one of the ways I grew to be okay with it was in my content creation. Because in my content creation, I remember I used to be so scared to get in front of the camera because I was scared of people ridiculing me, making fun of me. I was scared of what people were going to say. And I got in front of the camera for the first time. And yes, I did deal with some backlash. Yes, I did deal with a few things from people. But it was no different from what I experienced in the real world. So it was sting. I would let it sting and keep moving. But in my content creation, because I'm using my gifts and I have such a love for what I do, for a minute when I'm in front of this camera, when I'm performing on stage, if I'm at a spoken word, or when I'm just speaking, I'm immersed in the craft of teaching, speaking, rapping, I forget about it. And it's all about what I'm trying to convey in that point instead of what I look like. But yes, I do have thoughts of like, oh my God, are they making fun of me? What are they going to say? I'm very hyper vigilant and not hyper vigilant, but like I get hyper fixated on what people are saying. I could tell when somebody's making fun of my eye or when they're looking at my face funny because they can tell that my eye is lazy. So this brings a lot of insecurity and self-doubt in me. Do I like it? No. But I have persevered through it and allowed myself to overcome it in my content and my gifts so that way I can feel better about it in the process. The next thing I am insecure about. Oh, God. I am insecure just in general about the way I look. Like sometimes it's not even like about my eye. It's just like sometimes the way I feel about the way I look. Being a dark-skinned girl, growing up, having 4C textured hair, having a lazy eye, and, just not being societal standard of beauty. I was not the representation of beauty in the media. And I know that you cannot allow that to make you feel bad about yourself. But to my demise, I got on social media when I was 11, 12 years old. And I wasn't even supposed to be on it. My mother told me not to, but I didn't listen, okay? We did listen. But I should have. But I was exposed to so much negative things about dark-skinned women, dark-skinned girls. And it made me not like myself. And I remember being so, in awe of women who were beautiful because I wanted to be them. I wanted to find myself. I wanted to escape myself by living through them. And I often did mentally, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't like who I saw. I pretended I was someone else to feel good about myself. And I'm going to get a little bit deeper. This is how things like body surgeries and catfishing even starts. Because when you are seeing things on TV, I saw how, women around me, light-skinned women with looser curl hair texture or had ambiguous features, how they were treated. They had a privilege that I didn't have. And that resulted in me just not liking myself, wanting to run away from myself, wanting to detach from myself because being me just felt wrong. Not because of just what I was watching, but because of what I was experiencing in the real world. Being bullied for my hair, being bullied for my skin, being going through racism and colorism. Those things you internalize as a dark-skinned girl, as a black person, period. And I'm just being real about this because I'm growing out of it. We're not sitting in here and just complaining about it, but it's just being real about opening up about my insecurities, so you're not alone. The next thing that I'm insecure about is I have a disformed thumb. So my thumb is not like a normal thumb. It's like this, right? So my whole life, I've always tried to hide it. And I've always had to experience circumstances where I had to shake people's hand and I've had to, my thumb would be exposed, okay? And I didn't want it to be, so I always hid it. I always had long sleeve shirts on. I always keep my hand in my pocket. I would always have, I'm using my phone. I'm like looking for my phone, but I would always have my phone to cover the thumb. And I hated that. I hate that I have to hide. But the embarrassment of people noticing it, saying something out loud, looking at it, laughing at it. I've had people ridicule it, laugh, question. And I've always been on the spot of being humiliated. So to avoid that, I would hide my thumb. So that's something I'm very insecure about. So when we take the insecurities about my looks, my disformities, it transfers also into how I view myself in love and how it affects my worthiness in love too. Because if I don't feel like I'm beautiful enough or good enough, that affects how I see romance as well. It's the reason why I avoided pursuing love, because I didn't feel like somebody would love me for me. I know it's not true, but at the same time, there's that voice in my head constantly, the battles of all the things I've gone through. And I'm working on that right now. I'm getting processed through that now. That's why I'm able to talk about it. But I'm insecure and I fear that I won't be accepted for me. And how many of us struggle with that, not being accepted for who we truly are because of what society has told us or made us feel like is true. Okay. The next thing that I am insecure about, I be scared to get close to people. Like, this is more internal. I'm scared that I'll be attached and end up getting hurt again or betrayed again, or I'm scared of losing someone again, or I'm scared of, because I can be a bit, I don't know, I'm very loving, but I can also have a clingy side or a really attached style. So sometimes to avoid things, like to avoid that feeling, I sometimes just avoid people at times. And I know it's not good, but it kind of brings this comfort, because I feel like if people really saw me, my darkest traits, not physical, but emotional, how I can be in my friendships and my relationships, sometimes I'm scared that they'll run away. So sometimes it just feels good to just like be by myself and avoid people. So these are things that I'm insecure about, and I'm opening up about them, not only to bring awareness to them, but also to help you guys too, so you become more confident in expressing them, because we all have them. And I know that even though I have deformities like a lazy eye and a disformed thumb, it's so crazy how people in the world can relate to the things. Even though they don't have what I have, they still can have the same feelings that I have, but just from a different angle of something on their bodies. So I'm making this video to just kind of facilitate a movement, a movement of shame releasing, of making it okay to be insecure and talking about them, so you can then in return release them and feel better. It's your girl Hago signing out. Peace.